developing film today. So right here, posted in the darkroom, are the instructions on how to develop film. So you want to make sure that you have your developing tank, your agitator, optional, with your film loaded inside, and then you want to make sure that the chemicals are okay to use first. So you'll either talk to me or a student instructor that's helping, a student leader helping the class. So step 1, developing tank, load film in complete darkness, and cut film from the spool using scissors. Okay, so we've done that already. So the first thing is to rinse for 1 minute, and you want to fill the tank with 68-degree Fahrenheit water and pour water down the sink. So right here on the sinks, there is a temperature gauge, so the water should be set already to 68 degrees, so we should be all set. But you can always double check that. Alright, so I'm going to fill my tank with water. Sometimes these lids can be kind of tricky. Yeah. So now I have it full of water, and then I'm going to set my timer for a minute, and then once it goes off, we'll dump it down the drain. Dump the water down the drain. The next step is to add the developer. So again, should be 68 degrees. Check the developer chart for how long, so that's right here. So that depends on the film we're using and on what type of developer it is. So you want to double check to make sure that you develop it for the correct amount of time. We're going to agitate it for every 15 seconds, or agitate every 15 seconds for every minute. And then we'll pour the developer back into the container and make sure so it looks like this. We want to make sure that it's airtight. That way the developer is not exposed to more air, and then if it is exposed to air for too long, then it's not going to be as strong. And so then if we're using these development times, we might not develop it long enough. So we want to make sure that it lasts as long as we can. So we'll just put it back in here, squeeze it, make sure there's no air left in it. Leave it here. You definitely don't want to leave it in the graduated cylinders, but you can pour it in here so that it's easier to pour back into the container, or when we're mixing them. This is what we use to make that. Since we're working with chemicals, you're going to want to wear gloves and goggles. Alright, I've got my gloves on, I've got my goggles. There are aprons if you want those as well, if you're worried about getting it on your clothes. The chemicals can just irritate your skin. It can also cause a headache, which is why we have the vents going. If you do get a headache while you're in here, make sure that you leave the dark room immediately so you can get some fresh air. Alright, so I'm going to carefully pour my developer into my tank. You don't want to overfill it, but you want to make sure that it's covering all of your film. And then we have to agitate every 15 seconds we have to agitate for 15 seconds every minute. So I agitate like this. This is how I learned to agitate. You can also open up the lid and move it around. When you flip it like this, though, it ensures that it's going all the way from the top to the bottom of your film. Where the other way, it just moves it back and forth. So I do prefer agitating like this. All right, so I have to wait. I'm going to do this for 8.5 minutes. And then I will report a developer back into the container. All right, so my alarm just went off, and I opened the lid. And so I'm going to carefully pour my developer back into my container. And then step number 4, we're going to rinse 2 times for 30 seconds. So fill it with the 68-degree water. We're going to agitate the whole time. This is to stop it from developing. You could also use stop vacuum. And then we'll just pour the water down the sink both times. All right, so I'm going to take the water. And I'm going to agitate. I'm going to set my timer as we go. It's also just 30 seconds, so sometimes I just count it. Extra hard to get off of it close on. There we go. And then pour it just back down the drain. And mix again. Okay. So, I'm done rinsing and then get the lid off. We're going to add the fixer, and this is what's going to keep it safe when we take it out into the light. So it's going to fix it in place. So we're going to use the fixer for 5 to 10 minutes. The developer should be, the fixer should be 68 degrees. We're going to agitate for 15 seconds for every minute. And then we're going to pour the fixer back into the container. All right. Pour my fixer. All right. In another minute, I'll agitate again. Usually I keep track, so when it takes like a minute, and I do my 15 seconds of agitating. All right. Okay. So my alarm just went off for my fixer, and I'm going to pour the fixer back into the container. Okay. So then there are just 3 steps left. So right now I need to rinse this 5 times. And then just fill in the tank with 68-degree water. So I just rinse it, I fill up the tank with water. So it's filled, and then I just pour it down the drain. I'm going to do that 5 times. Okay, so the 7th step is optional. If you have a wetting agent for photo flow, you would add that for about 20 to 30 seconds. But we don't have that right now. So the last step is to hang to dry for 2 or more hours. So you'll probably just have to wait till the next day to see it. I want to open this up. And you just hang it right here to dry. So you'll just put your piece here, and then make sure it's over the felt on the floor. And that is why we do not open this door, because if someone has their film there, it could get messed up. It's one of my favorite parts to see, because you don't know how your pictures are going to turn out until this moment. And still, like, you still have to wait for it to dry, but sometimes you can see, well, did they at least turn out? Is it completely empty? Is it completely dark? So this part's always so exciting. I can't wait to see how all of your film turns out. Don't forget to put your materials back either. The developing tank, the film reel, they all have to be